do? We park so that our parking is the closest to the building that we want to enter, closest to the office. If you can park in front of the lift, that's even better, right? But apparently, what they do is they park farthest from the office. Why? Because they feel I come at 8:15, I have a lot of time to walk and get into the office. Whereas a guy who comes at 8:55, he will not have much time, so let him take the parking space which is closest to the building. So you can't even imagine this, right, in our culture. Okay. I'm sure we have a lot of these amusing anecdotes and we will look at some of them today. But tell me, from your point of view or whatever you have seen, how has, let's say, the Japanese culture, of having, let's say, hierarchy, their punctuality, their collectivism as I call them, they are more group oriented than the Americans, right? How has it affected business? From a business perspective,
it affects. My venture was I have to evaluate 3 products and come up with finally I have to suggest one product, and after that we have to do the service. 3 months they have given the time, and they hired a building, one building near next to Ginza.
Ginza area.
Next to that,
okay.
Very expensive place.
Near Shinjuku.
Yeah. So next to that, I can walk down to Ginza, that street, shopping street. So they hired one small space, their office space, brought servers, everything is there. It's like an office. And we were told to go there. And when there, everything was nearby, they set up the accommodation, everything. And there are 3 people will come to that place from that office, from the Tokyo office. They come there and they'll discuss with us, give the requirements, and we evaluated the product. We call the product. We are doing for 3 months. 3 months for that also we are charging them. We are getting paid. So we are doing that. 3 people I was interacting, smokers, huge smokers. I used to smoke, so I used to interact with them, and I was learning first time. So finally, what happened? They didn't even give a damn thing about what they are doing, and they never allowed me to visit that place, their office. Their office is the tallest building in Tokyo, and they are the commercial insurer for 5,000 McDonald's restaurant they insure. So like that, very big, largest insurer. I was like, we are not allowed to be taken to their office, but they like to come to our office. We had a good office, people office in the tallest building. So they come to our office, sit in the cozy seat and just enjoy. But they didn't take us, and they didn't even give any single detail. I was doing the technical side of the thing. So I was talking about Java and all, then they didn't even, they showed that they were not knowing anything. And I was telling that, okay, they are knowledgeable, and I was doing all this nonsense. Finally, everything was done. We recommended everything, we gave a presentation, and everything was done. Next day, they called everybody to come to their office. After everything is done, the deal is contract is signed, they invited to their office. I went there and I saw the same folks. Same guys sitting there, and one guy is from Fujitsu, that company. Yeah. They do a lot of IT services. This guy used to talk to me like a child, that he don't know anything on technology. That guy was having 2,500 guys sitting in that same building. Under him, 2,500 people under him, in his company, from his company, sitting in there and coding. And every piece, line of code goes into the bank locker. This test goes to the bank locker. I was just going and seeing that. He asked me to sit with one of the door. What is he doing? Just watch. I was just sitting with him. I was, what do you do? Like, they have a framework to develop. They don't use the Eclipse.
Fujitsu doesn't use Eclipse?
No, they didn't. They made their own tool out of Eclipse. That's how they do. For that particular.
But Eclipse is their platform, right?
They do, but they made it customized for that particular customer. And every line of code is tested and goes to the bank locker. I knew that. And he showed me this is how we work. And we lost the project. We just were supposed to get the project, but they didn't lost it because of us, because they didn't have enough knowledge for the project. So we won it.
So bank locker means a physical bank locker?
Bank locker it goes. every
But it will be a release system, right? That would
No, but
be-
tell me, no, that's it. You're explaining the event, that's okay. But tell me, from an impact to the business point of view,
business point of
can you tell me a cultural aspect?
there is no openness. I mean, they knew, they don't show you like I'm this in the first phase. I mean, I'm meeting people, but they are very clever and they know everything, but they don't show up that like I'm an architect, I'm a salesperson, like that. They will introduce some way, but you don't know their depth of that, and they don't show until they take to their work.
Actually, I don't know if you have noticed, none of the Japanese introduce themselves as I'm a programmer, I'm an architect. No, they never do that. At best, he will say, I work for Fujitsu.
Correct, you are right.
Right? So, it doesn't matter whether you are meeting the CEO or the programmer. Both of them, when they introduce themselves to you, both of them will say, I work for Fujitsu.
Correct.
Neither of them will say, I'm a programmer, I'm a CEO. So, that way, that collectivism is very high. But when they deal with each other, the hierarchy is very high. But when they face the external world, for them, that collectivism, that they all come from the same company, that they all work for Fujitsu, that is more important when they face the outside world. Inside their own company, the hierarchies are very high. As you say, no, when you sit for dinner, you can't sit next to the CEO, all those things are extremely high. So they always, when we go, we say, like you say, no, we'll say I'm a project manager, a programmer, I'm a designer, architect. We talk about what we are, okay? Whereas they don't talk about what they are. For them, they work for Fujitsu. That is their identity. Our identity is that, I'm a programmer or I'm a project manager. That is my identity, right? So how that affects, see that business, for example, if he knew on day one that this guy is a big man with 2,500 people under him, the way he would have interacted with that guy would probably have been completely different, right? That in turn could have affected the business or the contract, the deal, everything. That is the reason you should make sure that you understand culture. Whereas if you are interacting with a guy coming from the US at the same level, then you know. So next time you go to Japan and you are interacting with somebody, it's always at the back of your mind. Maybe I'm dealing with the CEO, maybe I'm dealing with a project manager, maybe I'm dealing with the chief technology officer. You never know. So that's how it can actually affect your own business deals. We look at some more examples. But good. I think China. We look at this today's newspaper. We look at this later. Ethiopia we keep out for the moment because the chances that any of us will need to understand Ethiopia in terms of business is very little.
Another thing is Japan is language.
Language is a big thing, no doubt.
Which they love their language.
No, they speak only Japanese, but you need to interpret for everything.
They will always speak Japanese. They will
And
not.
they give, if you are visiting some place, like a cab or something, they will give Japanese map and English map, so you have to carry. Even in China also the same. They don't understand English.
Yeah, I mean, many of them do speak English. Okay, they do understand English,
Percentage wise,
but okarimasta, right? Alright. Okay. So we will look at some of the cultural and, if time permits, we look at some of the politico-economic issues in international business. Because this is one of the things that will affect international business. Because in domestic business, you are most likely to deal with a single culture. Also, let us not get confused with nation and culture. Okay? It's not necessary that a nation has a culture. There are countries like India itself where there are many cultures. Okay? And there are cultures which span across countries. Okay? While we generally associate the Japanese as a nation and a culture, the Japanese Americans, who are actually Americans, but Japanese in terms of their origin may still behave like the Japanese. Okay? So, culture, while it has predominantly national boundaries, it is not that the nation defines the culture. It is predominantly contextual. The culture especially and interpretation of culture is very contextual. In fact, even the UK one, that who spoke about UK? You spoke about UK. Okay, where you said they are somehow they feel they are superior. They want to be the boss. I am the I'm the boss. Maybe our interpretation sometimes of their beliefs and their attitudes is based on our own assumptions or our own
Perception.
conception, because especially because they have ruled us. Maybe when we speak to them, we are already biased, right? So there is something called ethnocentrism in cultural issues, which means thinking that somehow my culture is superior to somebody else's culture. Okay?
Even Indians, our hospitality is very good to receive anyone, foreigner, irrespective of US, UK brands. But other countries, I don't think they have that much of.
The Japanese had actually most of the Eastern. I'm sure. I don't know what your experience was in Japan.
Yeah, they are very good.
But if you say, for example, that I don't know where this Asakusa temple, I'm sure you have been. I don't know where this temple is. I'm planning to go there on Sunday at 9 o'clock. Don't be surprised if that fellow lands up in your place at 8:30 and actually takes you there.
5 minutes before any meeting, before 5 minutes they are all present, but we go.
That is
Time punctuality.
Time as a function. So that time is a very, very common cultural issue across countries. It's more about the norm and how much value you give to time. Like in Switzerland, they say if you are 5 minutes early for a meeting, you are 10 minutes late. That means you are expected to be there 15 minutes earlier, right? So whereas in Arab countries it's different. In Italy, being a European country, again the value of time is very different. There are jokes which say that a guy trying to land his plane asking for permission and for the Italian some airport. So that controller said, sorry, we are having a nap, come back after 15 minutes. Nap. So that kind of thing, right? So what we will do today is understand some of the main dimensions of culture, how it affects business, and then go on. Okay?
Make the options say security.
No, not this. You have to put PPT, please. Okay, so we will use this as the framework for the rest of our course. So what this shows is you always want to have your objectives. We discussed about this. You want to go international because you want to either expand sales, or you want to reduce your cost, which means you want to acquire resources, or you want to minimize your risk because there are so many risks by staying in one country that you want to minimize your risk, and therefore you want to expand. Now, if these are your objectives, right, what are the factors that you have to consider before trying to achieve these objectives? First, you should understand what your operating environment is. We discussed about this last time. In fact, we ended up almost drawing this picture last time, right? So we said international business is affected by political policies, legal practices, cultural, economic, and geographical influences. Right? We gave very few, one or two examples of all this. We will study some of these in more detail. Then we have to worry about the competitive factors. Because at the end of the day, unlike your domestic competitive strategy, if you are going international, you have to worry about global competitors and local competitors in those places. So what is your competitive product strategy? And what kind of resources will you have? What kind of structure will you have? Who are the competitors in each market? All these things you will have to worry about. So you need to be aware of the operating environment in terms of physical and social factors as well as competitive factors. Okay. But in terms of what strategy you want to follow, how do you decide what strategies you want to follow? The strategy consists of three parts. One is the modes. So what is your strategy for entering a country? Do you want to enter by just by importing and exporting? Under what conditions will you do import and export? What are the advantages and disadvantages? Why would you want to do it through either transport, either licensing or franchising, turnkey, management contracts? There are several ways of doing it.
Conditions of import export means that quality acceptance.
No. Conditions meaning, importing and exporting is one way of becoming international. You don't have to become international by actually setting up an office in another country, right? You just want an export market. Because what are we trying to do? We are trying to expand sales, minimize resources or risk minimization. Resource acquisition or risk minimization. You can achieve all these three by using any of these modes. Now, the commitment to your market increases as you go down, right? Because starting from importing and exporting, your commitment to the other market is minimum. Whereas as you go down to direct investment and portfolio investments, your commitment is so much more, both in terms of financial and other resources. Then you have to decide what is it you want to internationalize, because you have the whole chain. I was just seeing your marketing management book, right? I think just right next to Porter's model, it talks about the value chain of the company. So which part of the value chain do you want to go international with? Do you want to do everything international? Some of the things you want for this reason, some of the things for this reason, some of the things for the other reason. And if you want to do it, how will you do it? Right? So which function you want to internationalize is a strategic decision that you have to take. How are you going to enter that market is a strategic decision you want to take. The third strategic thing is, how do you choose a country? Right? Given all these competitive factors and all these social factors, how do you choose a country? Okay? And once you have chosen the country, once you have chosen the function that you want to internationalize, once you have chosen the mode in which you want to go international, you have studied the competitive factors and the other factors, then how do you structure your organization? How do you structure the control, which is the most important? Okay? How do you organize that international business and how do you organize the control functions? So this is what is covered overall in international business. So if we can say, by looking at today's newspaper on the item on China, or tomorrow if you see a news item on the joint venture of Vodafone in India, or any international business news, if you see, if you can put it in this context, if you can say, by reading this, I can say that this company, this is what it's trying to do in these alternatives, this is the function it's trying to internationalize, this is the mode in which it is trying to operate in India or whichever country, these are the factors it should worry about, these are the social factors that will impact its business. If you can come to that level, I can confidently tell you that you have understood international business. Okay? So anything that you read in terms of international business news, please read it. When you read it, look at all these things. Maybe you will not get information in a single article on all these. But once you start asking yourself questions around this, whether Nokia wants to sell off a part of its business to Microsoft, or whether Apple brings in a new model in the market, finally we can fit it into this framework, more or less. So from that point of view, I think this is a very good framework on which we build. Okay? So these are the things that we try to understand. Cultural environments, major causes of cultural differences and change. But this picture that I showed you, this we will use as a theme throughout the course. Okay? So what we are going to study today is more one of these things, cultural environments. So we look at how culture influences behavior and all. So first, why do we want to study culture? You want to go international, right? Countries differ in many ways, right? And therefore we said international business is more complicated than domestic business. And different countries have different cultures and different economic systems and different countries are also in different stages of economic development. That is another important factor, apart from culture. Okay? Each of which has an impact on business practices, benefits, costs and risks. Therefore, we want to study, and therefore it has an effect on strategy and operations.
Now, product they say that we want this for US market, the other one is for emerging.
Yeah.
So, even though in globalization, why a product with the two dimensions like
Okay.
is that the economic system?
Absolutely, yeah. One is economics. That is the fundamental one. Okay. So if you introduce what is that new one? Micromax. If you look at Micromax, where is it likely to succeed?
All this emerging market.
You don't want to sell it in Finland. Right? So one is pure economy. Where does the market exist for the product that you are planning? Okay. And second, of course, are there any? Then the other one, the competitive environment in each of those markets. Okay. If there is a market and if the competitive environment is such that it makes sense for you to get into that market, okay, do it. But even though the product is meant for the market segment with low disposable income, and even though that segment may exist in a big way in say Malaysia or Indonesia or some other country, the competitive environment may not allow you to do it. One. Second, there could be a legal environment which says that if you are a foreigner, if you want to invest here, you should have a local partner. 30% of your product has to have localization. Okay, and if that is going to become uncompetitive for you, then doesn't matter how big the market segment is, you may not want to get, right? Or if you are using components or some IPR in your product, which is highly taxed in that country for whatever reason, okay, and you end up paying tax, again your cost advantage goes. So there are many reasons why you may want to introduce something or not want to introduce something. Okay. But usually economic, this thing is the most important, economic reasons.
Margins also matters. Some product, if I'm introducing the company in a new country or region,
Say that again?
margins, I mean, if I don't
Margin.
get margin, why would I go for it?
Absolutely. But, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's a good, something you have to think about. Sometimes you still want to get in, even though you don't have margins.
Yeah, that.
Why? See, that depends on your overall business strategy. See, understand that international business is one part of your overall business strategy.
Kellogg's,
Kellogg's.
how much they spend, no? To change the food habits in the country itself.
Ah, that's
Usually they
okay.
were under loss.
Yeah.
Same with McDonald's also, they actually the same burger will be 3 times bigger than in US or UK. Here they are selling because they have to make margin. So here
No,
the
that is
smallest
that is a
quantity.
different thing. Where you are varying a product, you are coming up with a different version of the product in order to keep your margins, in order to capture that market segment which has a certain disposable income, and there is a certain right pricing for a product which that market will accept, and you still have to make margins based on that, and therefore you are doing it. That is one argument.
One step.
That is different. What I thought you mentioned was, if there is a product on which you are not going to make margins, will you still sell it without varying it, or even after varying it, if there are no margins, will you still sell it?
There could be a strategy, maybe the for the
Exactly.
expansion.
That is what I am saying. That is part of your business strategy. As part of the business strategy, if you have decided that I will go international, I know that the Malaysian market in the next 10 years will expand like anything. I don't care if I lose money today. For next 2 years, if I lose money on every product, every unit I sell, it's fine. But Malaysia is an important market for me. I don't mind losing money. I still want to be there as part of my business strategy, which is one piece of my overall business strategy. Of course, I have to make up that money somewhere else. Okay? And also it depends on the product life cycle stage. Right? There could be some other market where it's in the growth phase and you are making a lot of money already. And that is subsidizing your loss in your planned Malaysian market. Right? So that is part of overall business strategy. What we are talking here is if you have an overall business strategy and as part of one of the elements of that strategy is to go international, then what do you do? That is the scope for the international business. I hope you got in that context, right? Okay. So this gives a very high level definition. I mean, we all talk about culture. We know what culture means, but we have probably not tried to kind of understand from a definition point of view what it means. It's nothing but a set of values. Again, what is a set of values? Right? Set of values meaning what it is the collective attitude of a group of people, of a society, is what we call as set of values. What is right, what is wrong? Your sense of right and wrong. Okay? Take the case of time that we spoke about. In Japan, they may think that it's a value. Being there on time is a value. In the Arab world, it's not. Okay? Being there on time is not a value at all. Something else could be a value. That is that is what decides the collective behavior of the society. Okay? And so on. These are all, anyway, definitions. I'm sure you can study those at the